What's good? What's good? It is still Mental Health Awareness Month, and so I would like to continue discussing the topic of trauma and how it manifests in our society today. Specifically, I would like to discuss religious oppression and religious gaslighting and how I believe they are a significant source of trauma contributing to our mental health epidemic. I like to poop on leftists a lot for being brainwashed, but there are an equal number of religious zealots who are also brainwashed. It would seem that the human mind is easily susceptible to manipulation, and the ruling classes have known this for a long time, for thousands of years, and they have exploited this component of human nature to maintain and grow their power. There is an expression, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I believe that spirituality is part of the human experience. However, I believe we should throw out the bathwater of organized religion. If you think critically for a minute about the history of religion and the contents of the modern holy books. So I'm speaking today specifically about Abrahamic faiths, so Judaism, Islam, Christianity, and Catholicism. But that's the point, is that those are sort of the modern holy books. However, religion has existed long before them, and even new religions have been created since they have come about. And so the idea that the one true religion just randomly appeared at some arbitrary point in the human history seems illogical. I do believe that Jesus was a person and that he lived. I talk about Hippie Jesus often, though, because he would not approve, if Jesus were to come back today, he would not approve of the state of the church. His message was of love and light and compassion, and that is what the New Age movement calls Christ consciousness. The Holy Roman Empire saw the popularity of Jesus and his message, and they saw it as a threat, which is why they killed him, and which is why they also co-opted some of his story into the Bible. But it's not the true story, and it's not an accurate telling of what happened. If you think critically for a minute about the contents of the holy books, you will find a lot of hypocrisy. For example, one of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. There's a lot of murder in the Bible and in the Quran. Thou shalt not commit adultery, except there are a lot of people who had multiple wives in the Bible. There was sanctioned rape. There was sanctioned slavery. These holy books are not very loving and compassionate. So when religious individuals engage in mental gymnastics to justify or nullify these pieces of information, it tells me that they're not thinking critically and that they're just brainwashed. I had a conversation with a friend a long time ago, and I asked him, he's very Christian, I asked him, what would he do if one of his sons came out as gay? His initial response was a stern, he won't. And in my naive nature, I followed up and asked, What do you mean? How do you know that? And with the tone that frightened me a little bit, he looked at me very seriously and said, I just know he won't. I do not believe this friend would physically abuse his children, but I do fear for psychological abuse if one of his children were to come out. And that is very sad. But I know that is something the LGBTQ community has dealt with in large numbers. I think that's one of the reasons there is a large hatred of religion from the left and from the LGBTQ community, because they've received hatred. And so they're just putting out what they've received. You know, I had another female friend tell me that when she was a teenager and she admitted or came out to her parents that she was bisexual, she was sent to a camp where they tried to pray the gay away. I cannot fathom what that would do to someone's psychology. I'm still friends with my friend that I mentioned, who said his sons will never be gay. And one might think, why would you be friends with someone like that? Well, how else can you de-radicalize people without, or if you're not in someone's life? How can you lead by example if you're not in someone's life? And so if that ever were to happen, I'm thankful that I'm in this friend's life, because I hope he reaches out to me to maybe try and reconcile what's going on. That's not the only reason I stay friends with him, but I try to just be compassionate and tolerant of everyone, and I fail sometimes, but man, that's what Hippie Jesus would want. That's what Hippie Jesus would do. What would Hippie Jesus do? I believe that Hippie Jesus lived. I believe that he had a message, and I believe that his message of love, light, and compassion, also known as Christ consciousness, was so powerful that the Holy Roman Empire murdered him and then tried to co-opt his story into the Bible, so that way his followers would then fall in line with their teachings. But it's all about control and manipulation. And so I think often about, and I talk often about, how can we find unity amidst the dogma of the left and the right. And it is a very difficult task. And so when I talk about the elevation of the collective consciousness and the ushering in of the new earth, and how we all have roles to play, I ask you, what can you do? What role can you play in contributing to this cause? It's not going to be easy. It is going to be very hard. But what would Hippie Jesus do? If you have experienced this or any form of religious gaslighting or religious oppression, don't let it define you. Don't let it fill you with hate. As hard as that can sound, as Hippie Jesus would say, you have to turn the other cheek. You have to be the bigger person. You have to kill them with kindness. An eye for an eye will only leave the world blind. Don't let bad religious experiences push you away from seeking spiritual enlightenment. The kingdom of heaven is here on earth. It is within you, and it is within me. And it is meant to be shared with one another. This life is a gift, and gifts are best shared. times are changing, and it is on us to bring about that change. And I believe in us, and I believe in you. Thank you